All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Life Between the Sticks with Cody Cropper, your host, Brandon, and we are back. MLS Week 17 in the books. We are skipping these midweek games. Cody ain't got the time for it, but we are sticking to the weekly recordings and guests galore. You brought another friend back, didn't you?
Yes, London Woodberry, former professional and teammate of mine from the New England Revolution. Welcome, London.
Thanks for having me, guys. Excited to be here.
That's right. Obviously, you guys played together at the Revs. As I told you, London, I had your bio pulled up, and you guys had a sick kit. Any idea what year that was?
2016, maybe?
I was going to say 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
I'm going to eBay after this.
Yeah. That was a fire kit.
It was a good one.
I was about to say, I think the Charlotte Independence also had a kit with like a similar format.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Look, Revs, you guys always have a leg up. Red, white, and blue, navy, and stuff. You had good color combos to play with, obviously, which is good. But Cody, I'm sure you were bailed out many times by London. How was it hanging out with him? How did you guys start to kick on? You know, what's kind of your guys' history?
Well, we actually lived in the same apartment complex. And my roommate, Femi Hollinger Jansen in London, and I actually spent quite a lot of time driving to and from training together. Because at one stage, London, correct me if I'm wrong, you sold your car or it was in the shop?
Yeah, not even in the shop, bro. Got totaled. So
that's
my girlfriend at the time, now wife, was taking my car to work one morning and got in an accident, just a small fender bender, but ended up bending the frame. So it was a complete loss or total loss. So yeah, that was the end of that. So yeah, it took a couple weeks for me to get a new car. So I was definitely hitching a ride for probably 3 weeks, maybe two or 3 weeks. But I appreciate that nonetheless.
No, don't have to say that. We're 8 years down the road now, my friend. I think you said thank you so many times.
Yeah, must have.
Yeah, no. So our relationship, kicked off kind of with the carpool sessions and just getting to know each other a little bit better, and then obviously all of our on the field antics. So, we've had a relationship for 7 or 8 years now, and obviously this podcast is helping me to reconnect with former teammates, and London obviously being one of them.
Love it. Love the bromance between the center backs and the goalkeeper. There's far better bromances on a pitch than that, without a doubt. But Cody, you were telling me that London, back in Texas, transitioned. I guess you can kind of tee into what he's up to now.
Yeah. From my understanding, you're an academy coach, right? And you are preaching the Austin way. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So after I stopped playing, I took some time away from football, but, was kind of itching for it and, stumbled upon an opportunity with Austin FC's academy and then got in there and, the rest is history. I've been here finishing up my second year with them. I've worked with U13s, U14s, U15s, and then some U17s and some individual base sessions. But yeah, it's just been a good growth period for me. I feel like I've developed a much different perspective of the game now that I'm on the other side of the lines, and I see things a lot differently. So, it give me a refresher for my love of the game. I'm reinvigorated to, compete and try new things and learn as much as I can. So yeah, Austin's an awesome environment for a young coach to be in within the academy. We got really, really experienced coaches and, the higher ups who have been around, they've, have the experience and pedigree of people that you want to be around that are going to, push you forward. So it's been an awesome experience, man. I've learned so much, and we actually won a trophy this year, which was pretty awesome. We won we won the GA Cup, which is like, I guess Dallas Cup was the biggest thing when I was a kid, but GA Cup is like the thing now. It's like all MLS academies and like the top some top European academies. So it's an awesome event, and we were fortunate enough to lift the trophy at the end of the tournament. It was wild. It was crazy. Like they run these kids into the ground, bro. Like we played 7 games in 9 days, which
Whoa.
is ridiculous. I mean, they're shortened games, but at the same time, like mentally
Still.
taxing, like trying to get these kids to, do the right thing at the hotel, so
Yeah. And
it was,
we know at 13, 14 to
oh man,
even 17, it's impossible to rein in kids at that age and
yeah,
have them eat the right way or go to
yeah,
bed at 10 or 11 o'clock to wake up for a 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. game.
yeah. Got to try to manage a lot of those things. I don't think professional coaches have really concern themselves with these type of things, but yeah, curfews, cell phone pickup, eating the right thing, all the little stuff. But it's been awesome so far.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
even
great.
doing like
That's
a recovery workout at the end of the night, or trying to like, okay, hey, here's a little bit of tactical heads up on the scouting report of the next game. I mean, that stuff comes at you thick and fast. I can see. So, but yeah, so what born in Texas, back in Texas, kind of full circle?
Yeah, born in Oklahoma actually, but I grew up in Texas, But yeah, moved back to Texas after playing, I guess, 7 years professionally. Ended my career here, and started a family, and we love Texas. We're in Austin, and I always say it's like the coolest city of the big cities in Texas, and it's not even that big compared to the rest, so it makes it kind of nice.
I was just there last weekend. So if we would have done this 2 weekends ago, we could have connected. That's on me, but we had a blast. Texas was great. My wife got some boots from Allen's Boots. So, we did it real authentic.
That's awesome. You were in Austin?
What's that?
You were in Austin?
Yeah. Yeah. My cousin got married there. So we were hanging out, and we were in, I already forgot where we were, but just right around 5th, 6th Street, kind of just outside of downtown.
In the thick of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your first time to Austin?
It was. Yeah. I got so sunburned on Lake Travis.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
It was actually like concerning. But
it's that Minnesota fair skin, Brandon.
Yeah, my Welsh heritage did not help me. All right, well, let's go ahead, guys. A ton of results over the weekend. I guess we should shout out that the LAFC Club Leon CONCACAF Champions League is going on right now. Leon have the advantage, so that'd be 2-1 on aggregate. We'll kind of keep an eye on that score as we go through the podcast, and especially if you guys want to touch on any of that. But Eastern Conference, Cincinnati still at the top, 39 points. Nashville second on 31 points. Bit of separation, nothing that is impossible. Philly on a bit of a good form run. They are on 30 points. So that is your top 3. New England, who was there in and around it, down to 27. Pressure might have been too much for them. Inter Miami, who just sacked manager Neville out. They are in bottom of the East in 15th place on 15 points. Chicago on 14th, and New York City FC 13. So good news for Toronto as they climb out of the basement. Back on the western side, St. Louis back on top, 28 points. Does that surprise you guys that top of the East is 39 points and top of the West is 28 points? Is there a disparity where the East is easier than the West is more competitive? Seattle is a good team. They're only on 27 points.
For me personally, it varies year to year. I think when London and I were playing with the Revs, the East was a stronger division, a stronger conference, however you want to word it. And I think by the time we both left, I would say the West had kind of taken over when LAFC was competing with Seattle and Portland. SKC had kind of shifted, was at the top there, and now obviously they're trying to make their way back up. But I think it varies year to year.
I can give credit a little bit here, London. St. Louis, right? They've only played 14 games. So they've got 2-3 games in hand on a lot of the other games. 6-9 points really changes the narrative and puts them on a little bit of parity. But even Seattle, 17 games played. That's the most as any other team, 27 points. LAFC, 25 points. But they've only played 12 games so far. Have fun making those games up. But those are problems of the big teams with LFC and CONCACAF Champions League. St. Louis, I'm not really sure why they're behind, but I guess there is maybe a little bit of a hedge on their part, having not played as many games towards the top.
Yeah, I think you'll see a lot of shift in the table coming up in the next few weeks, just because there's gonna be a lot of midweek games, and teams are gonna be forced to play 2-3 games in a week. So those are always going to be tough weeks on teams, and if you can get maximum points in those trips, obviously it's going to set you apart. But obviously you got to get through the grueling summer travel, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Well, we'll kind of see how things shake out. I should clarify it. It's actually 3-1 LAFC on aggregate. Does that sound right, Cody?
Yeah. Club Leon is winning 3-1 on aggregate. Correct.
There you go. All right. So, gentlemen, some of the games that we have here, we obviously want to start with Austin FC. It's been a long day. I apologize. London. Austin 1, Real Salt Lake 2. Goals from Austin's side coming from Cascante. Ruben with the double for Real Salt Lake. I guess I didn't really mention, but Austin in 8th right now in the Western Conference. In and amongst it, right? 19 points, 16 played, firmly in the playoff zone. I mean, at this point, right, there's a little bit of reshuffling, kind of retooling from last season. But what are you making of Austin's season so far? Is they just having to fight a little bit harder, I think, than a lot of us expected?
Yeah, I feel like it's been, obviously they didn't win anything last year, but I feel like it's a bit of a hangover of such a successful season. I feel like they, maybe didn't start as hot as they did the previous year or as hungry, but I think that's completely normal. Yeah, it's been a challenging year, especially with the injuries. I think Cascante got hurt in the first game of the season. Freaking Driussi got hurt. He's just making his way back, getting minutes. So I feel like when you're missing big pieces like that for long periods of time, pieces that you depend on, it's always hopefully it doesn't, but sometimes, it's going to affect the quality of play you're putting out on the pitch. But, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with that, London. And I think, one of the things I would say is I think the lack of offensive production, but that lack of offensive production might be coming because of the injuries that they've suffered, right? And then you obviously have so much offensive firepower that you're rotating players constantly. I mean, you have Diego Fagundes, you have Ethan Finley, you have Giassi Zardes, Driussi when he's fit. So there's constant rotation, and maybe some of these guys aren't finding their rhythm together as they were last year. And, I think it speaks volumes. This year they only have 17 goals to this point of the season. And I think they had 5 to 10 more at this point of the season last year. So again, that obviously gets off to your hot start last year, but it also, the injuries and the lack of rhythm comes into play as well.
Yeah. And it was a really hot start last year. I think they won a couple games 5-0, had a few 3-0s in there. So it's been a different season, but MLS is about, depends what you want to win. You want to win Supporter Shield, which might be out of reach now, or you can always win the MLS Cup, which is, equally as good of a prize.
Agreed.
Credit to Austin, though. 57% possession, 1.94 XG to 0.82 XG for Real Salt Lake. They had 2 big chances. Unfortunately, they missed one. Real Salt Lake got one of theirs. Like, they did produce, they did do well. And again, Cascante's goal only coming in the 92nd minute, right at the end. Real Salt Lake, felt good about it. They might have switched off, but they are producing in some of those standpoints. It's just, MLS is a tough league. And when you don't take chances and maybe you don't take opportunities, teams can punish you. And I do think that that's a little bit, something they're having to fight on certain things. But For the season being where they are, I just had it here. Back down, 5 wins, 7 losses, 4 ties, right? You just gotta clean up the back, stop conceding. They can try to turn it around because RSL, I mean, they've been very up and down this season as well. Very similar from a standing standpoint.
They're ninth.
Yeah, one below, right? They're the exact same record now. And it's definitely a battle. And I think we've seen Houston do well. We know Portland is going to be in and amongst it, Cody, as well. Kansas City, we're not really sure if they're going to show up or not. And Minnesota, Vancouver above them. This kind of 8-9 spot to get above the watermark in the playoffs is going to be really, really contentious, especially in the West. And it's something that every point is going to be crucial throughout this grueling season, especially when we take a pause for another competition midway through. It's going to be a tough season for these players.
Yeah, I agree. I think way more difficult than anything that London and I experienced during our time in MLS. The fact that, as you said, the league is going to stop midway through for the League's Cup is wild to me. I think it's a 3 or 4 week minimum stoppage, and the league has to fit these games in somewhere. So why not just throw them into the middle of a week and add 3 or 4 more 3-game weeks for everybody's schedule? So it's going to be very interesting, the addition of and the demand of these additional games and how teams adapt, because the rosters haven't expanded. So depth is the same as it was the last 20 years or, whatever it might be, the last 5 years, 10 years, and you're just throwing more games in there and expecting them to be able to handle it.
Yeah. It's like how many games will teams end up playing at the end of the year?
I think, what is it? How many league games? 32? Is it 32 league games? You add in Open Cup plus Leagues Cup. So you got to say
at least 2 games for Leagues Cup, at least.
Yeah. So I would say close to 38, 40 maybe.
Yeah, teams in CONCACAF Champions League. I was about to
say, I'm thinking about LAFC. How many games will they have played at the end of the year?
40 plus.
Yeah. It's a lot of games.
It's a lot of games
in the hottest part of the year in the United States as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would say that the manager Josh Wolf here, London, he did switch, formation, start off the 4-4-2, ended with the 3-4-3 with an overly attacking lineup as they chased the game. I would say it's like, managers willing to make changes for you guys. Do you feel like, how do you guys make those changes mid-game? Is that something that you kind of is easy to prepare for? Like, how is it like for you as a defender to go from a back 4 to a back 3 in those situations? Is that something you guys do a lot of preparation for, or is it usually, hey, at the end of the game, let's just try something different? I guess, how many formations do you guys really train with throughout a season to try to prepare for different situations, whether it's chasing down a goal, down a man, different things like that?
I feel like the managers I played for weren't overly tactical and weren't too concerned about those details, So, if we had to roll into a 3 from a 4, it was just obviously managing the space a little different. It wasn't too much, direct instruction on how we were going to roll into a 3 from a 4. It was just basically one player got the communication from the coach, and we figured it out that way.
Yeah,
I think. Sorry, go.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just think MLS is evolving, and so is the game of football, obviously. But I think those details are more present now. In ways how teams will roll into 3s from 4s and 4s to 3s, or 5s from 4s. So it's a different game, I think.
Do you have to communicate with your young players like in FIFA, but like ultra defensive, ultra attacking?
I mean, not those specific words, but I mean, we have a vocabulary that some like a new player that came into our system probably wouldn't understand what I was saying, So
for sure,
sure.
No, and to build off that, London, I agree that the league is adapting and it's evolving and it's becoming it's becoming less transition based and more tactic based.
Right.
Where teams and coaches and organizations and players are having to learn how to break opponents down rather than when I first came into the league, it was a transition based league. Yeah. And it was the team that had athletic players that would win games. You look at Atlanta United when Atlanta came into the league, they hit teams on the counter and they were lethal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's a different game now.
They messed up the league. We were not ready for Atlanta. No. They came with the left hook, and we're all expecting it to come from the right. Credit to them.
Good for the league, though. It's good.
Absolutely.
For the league.
Hey, forces you to get better, right? Adjust. How do we just let an expansion team walk in here? Well, to be fair, I guess St. Louis is doing a little bit of the same, huh? Shaking it up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Hey, well, San Diego, call your shots now. Let's see what's up. Yeah. Donovan involved. Ooh, we'll get to that later. Huh?
So I don't know if he is.
No, that's
He's
true.
Not going to be involved. It's a different ownership group.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll find a way. Hey, how about Philly 3, Montreal 0? Carranza with the double. Ure, 36 minute. This game was signed, sealed, and delivered an hour in. Montreal, again, up and down on the roller coaster. It seems like Philly's kind of figured it out. Maybe they're beyond the CONCACAF Champions League. They're back on a rotation schedule. Curtin's starting to put some results together with this team.
I was just going to say that. They are starting to show last season's Supporter Shield form. Unbeaten in their past 7 games, 13 goals for, 3 against. I mean, this is the team that we saw win the Supporter Shield and competing in MLS Cup final.
What wins championships?
Defense.
But they got a top man in goal.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if he doesn't make if he doesn't make, I think he had 1 or 2 saves in the first half.
2. Yeah. The one where he comes out and spreads.
The 1v1. If he doesn't, they scored right after that, I believe. Right. So Andre Blake, for me, he's a difference maker for them. Like if they don't have that goalkeeper, who knows where they are?
I agree.
I rate him.
Hey, so this is they've already played each other twice this season. Do you guys remember this 3-2 in Montreal? They had the penalty in the 3rd minute. They scored in the 90th plus 8 minutes. They scored in the 90th minute. It was just absolute craziness from Montreal getting 2 stoppage time goals. Carranza got sent off in the 69th minute. There's MLS there's VAR reviews. It was just back and forth. This game was bonkers.
Yeah.
Philly came to right that wrong, London. All right, you know what they said? You know what? All right, you got us there. You got some lucky breaks. Here's where we're at. Let us remind you what we're all about. And they did it top to bottom. Look good. Cody dropping the stats, by the way. He's edging me with all these stats on their unbeaten run, the goals for and things like that. But that is a tidy run from Philly. I mean, they drew Chicago, lost to Cincy, which is respectable, drew Kansas City, lost to Orlando, lost to Montreal. They had a bit of a late, they had a wobble in late March, early April, but they're right in that ship.
It's a dangerous front 3. When they get going, I rate Carranza. I just looked up his salary. He's not even on $1 million, surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah. Just under $1 million. He's probably getting it through something, but
yeah, for sure. There's some ways to slip him some extra cash.
Of course, but on paper it's under $1 million. I was like, come on, man, pay the man.
Yeah,
he's pretty young. He's 23, 24?
Yeah, I think so.
He is 23. He was a 2000 millennium baby, Argentinian.
Yeah, he is. He's something special for sure, and you can see that in the way he shifts with the ball at his feet on that first goal, and he wraps that ball into the far post.
Yep.
I mean, he sells the defender left, brings it back, and just wraps it in there, and he puts it in an area where I don't think many goalkeepers are plucking it out of.
Yeah, it's a good finish.
It's a very good finish.
He's got 9 goals and 42 shots, excluding block shots. So he's got a 21% conversion rate, and he's scoring about every 137 minutes. So just under a game and a half. 6 goals inside the box, 3 outside. And he's got 7 with his right, 2 with his left. No headers yet, no bicycle kicks, but he's showing he can score a lot of different ways.
Yeah, for sure. I think for him to continue to climb the totem pole and for Philly to continue to keep the momentum rolling, I think he's going to have to drop that, what did you say, 137 minutes between goals to, something a little, maybe under 100. But I think that's very capable for somebody of his ability.
Well, I mean, we'll continue to watch them. Philly preseason was always at the top, right, of one of the teams to watch. They had a very busy beginning of the season, and we'll see how it shakes out. Anything on Montreal, you guys? I mean, they've had a couple good results, right? We've talked about the fact that they can dig deep. They can do well on the day. I'm trying to look at their past results here real quick.
I mean,
Drew DC
go ahead,
United.
London.
I was just gonna say that. I mean, I watched the game and they had their chances.
They did, yeah.
They're not a bad side at all.
No, and you guys have to remember the Canadian Championship final is this Tuesday.
Exactly.
So
how could I forget?
I was gonna say they play Vancouver in Vancouver, and I don't want to say it was a throwaway game for them. However, I think once they realized that, they were 2-0 down or they weren't getting back into this one, I think they made some significant subs, and they might have even, having Philly away, then traveling to Vancouver, they may have decided to start a lesser team versus Philly, take the loss, in hopes that they could put out a stronger team against Vancouver.
Okay. Well, they made a triple sub at halftime. Kind of supports that.
I don't think I don't think a lot of guys travel. Like a few guys didn't travel, I believe.
Yeah.
So
that
makes
or they
sense.
traveled and they just weren't even in the team.
Right.
They may already be in Vancouver.
Yeah.
They may have gone straight to Vancouver from Philly.
Is that's automatic Champions League bid if you win that?
Correct. Yep.
So it's obviously important competition north of the border.
Mm-hmm.
You have your medal?
I do. Yeah, it's at home.
All right.
Won the can champ last year.
Looking forward to seeing that when next time I see you.
Canadian legend, unlimited Tim Hortons.
just underneath Tim Hortons.
So it's obviously a big deal for these teams, and to your point, like, I guess walk us through it for you guys as you progress. How did you guys balance the Canadian Championship on top of the MLS season? Was it, hey, if we keep winning, it's important? Did you guys, like Montreal did here, kind of stack the deck once you got to the final to give yourself the best chance to win? Like, how do you guys balance that?
Yes, on both. We prioritized the Canadian Championship. So in the games leading into weeks where we had a midweek Canadian Championship game, we rested guys that we knew we were going to play in those games. And 5 Canadians being key players, because there is a requirement that you have 5 Canadians on the field at any given time, or in the starting lineup, I believe.
That's probably fair for the lower division teams, right?
Exactly. So when we got to the semifinal and final, we were definitely prioritizing the Canadian Championship over MLS games. And I can actually remember we had the Can Champ final on a Tuesday versus Toronto in Vancouver. We also played Chicago at home before that and actually lost, I think 3-1, 3-0 to Chicago. But we had rested a handful of players, or only played them for 45 minutes just to keep the legs ticking over.
You know what, guys? And I appreciate that, Cody. London, if I give up a third goal and it deflects off 2 defenders and goes in over my head because I was a goalkeeper, yeah, I'd probably pack it up too and head to Vancouver.
Yeah, I would too. That was tough.
That Carranza goal, super, super tough.
What a finish. What a finish.
Great finish. He meant
off the dude's foot, off the dude's back.
Yep.
Looping over the goalkeeper. He didn't even jump, did he?
No.
No, because he had committed to go low on the original shot. So he was on the floor and he just kind of watched it go over him.
Tough.
He was dead in the water.
This freeze frame on the MLS site is tough. Tough look.
No bueno.
Oh man. All right. Hey, we're going to take a real quick break. Cody, you've got another sponsor for the pod that we're going to plug to everybody. Tell them about a brand that you love.
I do. It's not exactly a sponsor, but it is a brand that I love. And I'm actually repping them for the pod. Noble.
Should get mine.
You should. I mean, you should have it on. No shortcuts, no gimmicks, and no excuses. It's built for the toughest workouts. They are obviously a CrossFit brand. However, they are starting to venture into other sports, golf being one of them, running being a major one for their footwear. But their apparel is really good, and I love wearing it in the gym. So if you don't have any Noble gear, go get yours. London, let's see. Next, you're on it.
It is good. Absolutely performance brand, top tier clothes, top tier footwear. And it's all about no grit. If you love taking on the challenge, they're a great brand to partner with. Check it out. Project Noble, link in the description. Next one that we've got, gentlemen, on this one is New York Red Bull 0, Orlando 3. Reyes with the red card in the 47th minute did not help with Angulo getting the goal in the 18th. Torres with the penalty in the 52nd. And then the brace in the 72nd. Good weekend for braces. If you get one, you're probably getting 2 the way it stands. Look, Cody, I don't know what to make. Orlando, Red Bull already shaking things up. We've talked about them previously about kind of the club, lack of the lack of the Red Bull identity compared to Leipzig and Salzburg. I'll let you split this one open however you would like, sir.
I look at it and it simply was not Red Bull's night. I think the inability to convert on 14 offensive chances created is kind of shocking. They do a great job of getting in front of goal, and then they don't have that finishing touch. And I think, currently there are a lot of teams in the league that you can look at and say that about. However, I think Red Bull has historically been a team that scores goals. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, London. They just haven't been this, like Brandon said, they don't have that same identity as they had when we were in the league together at New England.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, I look at it as like, I know they're known for playing their young players. They had a super, super young lineup out there, and Orlando had a very experienced team out there. And it kind of showed in the game, especially with the first goal. I think somebody jumped when they shouldn't have jumped, and, it took 2 passes to break all the lines. And the guy was 1v1 with the goalkeeper. So, yeah, it's an interesting one because I feel like everybody is familiar with like the Red Bull way and how they play. And yeah, I guess they're not displaying that as of late, but
no,
could be the summer slump, Cody. Could be the summer slump.
It could be. We all know that summer slump hits every team at some point, and it's about how they respond to it. That said, I will point out the first and third goals from Orlando are clinical counterattacking football. I mean, and Angulo, however you want to say it,
Angulo, I think.
Angulo. Wow. This boy is lightning quick.
That's one thing about Oscar Pereja. He will find him a extremely fast Colombian towards the sidelines for him. Every team he coaches at, he's gonna have at least one or two Colombians just so fast.
Just absolutely.
He's a baller. He's a baller. What a finish. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is it? Is it the third one where, I mean, he drives past Amaya. I mean, he's maybe 5 yards. I think Frankie Amaya has a 5-yard head start on him. And this guy roasts him and then has the composure to find the pass across the box to the on-running striker.
Yeah. Good finish too.
Yeah, very good finish.
That was his second one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was his second goal.
Yeah. Or they look good. They look good. Orlando.
They do. They do. And I think it's also super interesting to note that they actually have a better away record than they do a home record, Orlando.
Haven't they done that in the past also? I feel like they did that like a couple seasons ago or last season.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it might have been the year where they were competing where they won the US Open Cup. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
Couldn't even tell you.
Is that when they had like Nani in attack?
Yeah.
It might have been.
Yeah, 2-3-3 at home, 2 wins, 3 losses, 3 draws at home, 4 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws away on the road. Look, it's swampy in Orlando. That's tough, right? Fair enough. That's so funny. You guys talk about the summer slump. Like we got that in my day. I'm a desk guy. I got a day job. We got summer slump real bad right now. It got nice all of a sudden. You gonna tell me pro athletes, you guys got summer slump? What's going on here?
Oh, I didn't know it was an office thing. I thought it was a soccer thing.
Oh, bro. Like it gets nice. All of a sudden everybody's like, you know what? Maybe I'm just gonna go for a walk, or you know what? I'm hitting the patio for beers. I don't need to do this. Productivity goes down this summer. That's so
they should do a study on that. Like I guess the markets that are like have nice summers, you know, Miami, Austin, LA.
Yeah.
It's like a drug up here in Minneapolis, London.
Or the ones that have hot summers too, because training in the heat is no joke either.
Training in the heat while you're having fun.
I don't know how any professional athlete
tough life
plays in Houston. Like kudos to them.
It was awful. We were training at like 7 a.m.
That's crazy.
It was crazy.
London's laughing at us. He's like, you Minnesotans. He's like, what's your problem?
Austin gets pretty hot also. I'll say probably Austin and Houston are probably the hottest markets.
Yeah. I would say, Miami and Orlando have got to be up there too.
Humidity there as well.
The humidity there has got to be brutal.
No AZ market, so that's out of the mix.
Yeah. There is an AZ market, just not MLS.
Yeah.
Correct. Phoenix Rising was just there a few weeks ago. Man, I sound like I'm just traveling all the time. How obnoxious. Last one, gentlemen, speaking of Houston, St. Louis 3, Houston Donuts. Penalty kick again, Leuven this time. Ostrak 51st and Jacquini in the 83rd minute penalty. I'm going to break this open with 2 penalties, 2 different takers. London, what's your strategy? You're coaching now. You going with the same guy twice, or do you like to switch it up and have someone else take it?
The score is 2-0, right?
At that point, the score is 2-0.
No, I'm saying it made it 3-0. But I'm saying I don't know what happened because who went up to take it? What was the guys?
Who took the first one? Yeah, Leuven.
So Leuven gave it to Gionacci, right?
Correct.
But it looked like he turned around and it looks like he was looking at somebody. So I don't know if somebody told him to give it to him or, you know,
so
who knows what their relationship is.
I think he asked for it first.
He said F off.
You think?
Yeah. And then he was like, maybe that wasn't the right move, you know? He's been watching Ted Lasso. He's like, maybe I should let this guy take the pin for the morale of the team.
Yeah, exactly.
Something happened in this highlight. So Leuven's pissed and Celio comes over and is like, hey man, it's fine. So that's what I'm just asking you. Like,
he wants his goal bonus.
Well, like, that's fair.
But
like, what do you think, like, as a coach now, right? Because Cody and I have talked about this as goalkeepers. Like, if the same kicker comes up, I now think I have an advantage as the goalkeeper. Right. Just because that taker, the kicker, they're thinking, are they going to go the same way? Are they not? Like, they're all up in their head, twisted up. So, like, as a coach, do you think it's good to put a different one in there or always stick with your number one?
Well, if he scored the first one, I think it's up to him, you know?
All right.
I think he wanted to take it, but
He did.
If the scoreline's 2-0, I don't really have a problem with it. You know, if they're gonna see the game out, I have no problem with it as a coach. But I'll leave it up to them.
Yeah.
That was nice of him. You know.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe,
And you can even see in the celebration that the player who actually ends up taking it and scores it during the celebration says thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. He probably needed that. You know, maybe.
I don't think he had a goal in like his last 4 or 5 games.
Well, Klaus has been mopping it up.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. St. Louis is on fire.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they continue to stun the league.
Yeah.
They really do.
I mean, they're having kind of like the same start that Austin had last year. Scoring a bunch of goals at home.
Yeah. Yeah. And like goals that just fell into their lap the first 5 games too.
Oh, the back passes.
If you remember that,
straight
the back passes. They had like 3 back passes. I think one of them was in Austin.
Collusion.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that right now.
Oh, okay. All right.
But yes, you got to file that, move on.
Yeah.
File that and move on.
Factually correct, unwilling to discuss St. Louis. They've had a bit of a wobble. Again, they're behind on games. They'll figure it out, but they're winning without Klaus. So I have a friend who is from St. Louis, and he was just like, Roman Berkey for mayor. He's a legend. We're not even a season in, and Berkey is absolutely adored by this team. Tell you what, you talk about Andre Blake earlier, London. Berkey's a difference maker. Oh my gosh.
100%. I mean, you got to have that. You got to have that if you want to compete, you know, at any level. You know, if you don't have a good goalkeeper, you're gonna be leaking in goals most likely, or you know, you're not gonna be able to, I guess, have the edge in those tight games. Got to have a keeper who can make those saves in the big moments.
He's got an 80% save rate right now, Code.
Wow.
He's gonna be an all-star for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I mean, that goes into what I was going to say. They actually have the best goal differential in the league. One team has a better goals for, and that's Columbus, but one team has a better goals against, and that's Nashville. That's Clean Sheet SC, right? Clean Sheet SC.
Technically, they are an SC.
Technically, they are an SC. But yeah, I mean, in their last 3 games, they've scored 10 goals and only conceded 1. I think that speaks volumes to not only their offensive production and conversion, but the ability of Roman Berkey and the back 4 that they've started. Because they took, I mean, if you look at the back 4, I know teams have been paying Tim Parker a lot of money the last couple of years, and he has not maybe lived up to that amount of money at certain clubs. However, this year, that man is delivering for St. Louis. Mm-hmm. And you take Jake Nerwinski, who was passed on at the end of last season in Vancouver, signs as a free agent in St. Louis, has started every game. And I mean, you know, like they went out and they signed guys. They signed MLS veterans at the back with experience in the league, and it's paying off.
Yeah. I mean, that's the front office for you right there, doing their job.
Yeah.
So
100%.
And but it's always a coin toss, you know.
That's
not all, you know, you can't always bank on it, but when it works, you know, it's people are gonna get the credit.
It's
absolutely
sweet.
That was a fun game to watch. I thought Houston, even though they lost 3-0. They showed some good quality football, especially after losing 6-2 to Vancouver in the midweek. So
I agree.
That's what I was gonna say. Houston's on a bit of a slide, guys. I hate to say it. They hold their own in Texas, but outside that great Lone Star State, it has not been as good. They beat Austin 2-1 before that. They drew Dallas 1-1. So they definitely had a long kind of a tour de Tejas while they're down there. But other than that, like they're struggling. They're just below the watermark, though. They're in 10th in the West. So there's obviously no real concern at this point about playoffs. 5-1-1 at home. Great record. They have not won away.
Houston?
Yeah, that has to be the thing you've circled as a coaching staff and say, we got to fix this.
So I will say this, and I can remember having these conversations, London, when we were at the Revs. Win win 2 games or pick up 6 points on the road, and you make the playoffs. You remember these? Like,
That's it?
literally
Like
if you win it. If you win at home, Brandon, if you win your home games, and you pick up 2-3 wins, or 6 points in ties, or however it might be, you're gonna be in that conversation for playoffs. Because we in 2017 missed playoffs by 1 point to Montreal. We got edged out on the final day of the season. We lost 2 games at home, didn't win or pick up a point on the road all season.
Ooh.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was a challenging year for everyone.
It was a very challenging year. There were a lot of issues that year. But in terms of results and the simplicity of,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Win a couple away games, have a decent home record. You should be in a playoff spot. Yeah, for sure.
Hey, great home record. 5-1-1. I think St. Louis has 6 home wins. And then on the, oh my gosh, Cincinnati's 9-0-0 at home. So they're leading the pack as far as home record, but they're doing the business. They're right around it. They got LAFC next. London. Yeah, I say that's gonna be a little bit tough for them. But you said you've seen flashes of things they've done well. They have played well at times. Obviously, Hector Herrera in the squad. They beat LA Galaxy 3-0, which unfortunately now doesn't look that great of a result because of how poor LA have been all season. But what do you think they need to do, or how are you seeing their season for them kind of unfold? I don't know. I'm not going to pass judgment, but clearly they have room for improvement. They want to be doing better.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have a lot of positives to take away from, arguably one of the highest teams in the league in St. Louis. They in that game they had more passes completed, they had more possession, they had more shots. I think they were unfortunate to come away with nothing. Obviously it was 3-0 with 2 penalties. And 2 penalties, and I forget how they scored the other goal, but they had their chances. And I really like Corey Baird. I really like forget the winger with the little afro on the right side. He's
Carrasquillo.
What's his name?
Carrasquillo.
Yeah. They got good players. They have good pieces. I just they're gonna have to get these results on the road to I guess give them a fighting chance of doing something with their season. But yeah, Houston's been tricky, I feel like, for a few years now. I don't want to talk too much because I don't know, the big picture, but it seems like they're a long way away from the Houston of what was that guy's name? Brian Ching days,
Yes.
winning MLS Cups, Stuart Holden,
Beasley
Ricardo
was there.
Ricardo Clark, yeah. So
okay. So London, your center back. You guys ship 9 goals in 2 games. How do you hit reset mentally?
Well, I mean, you don't get really. I mean, what's the next game? Don't they play midweek coming up?
Yeah, June 10th. So they got a week. They got a week to prepare for LAFC at home.
Yeah, I mean, you really just got to keep grinding. I guess try to find your shortcomings through video sessions as much as you can. I feel like these days the analytical part is crucial. You really can look at the details and try to make a difference in what you're doing, but just gotta keep believing and keep working hard, because at the end of the day you're still getting paid. It's a game at the end of the day, a boys game that people love to watch. So try to get back out there and make the most of it, and the ship will turn around eventually. The tide will turn eventually.
Yeah,
that's just part of football. That's just part of football. Sometimes it sucks. And
the tough part that I have found is that you forget what got you to that level. And that's the love of the game and enjoyment of it. Because you get to a point where you treat it as a job and it becomes toxic. And you forget, like I just said, why you're there. Because you love the game, and just go out and have fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's a kid's game. Simple as that. Put that loss or those goals behind you and focus on the next.
I guess, sorry to harp on what Cody said. I guess it's tough when you forget about that, like the what got you there, all the little things, the process. You know, I think sometimes in tough moments you're so goal oriented. You know, when you forget about the process every day, the little things that are going to get you to that end goal. You know, so a lot of learning.
Without a doubt. I think back to some of those situations, obviously nowhere close to the level you guys are at, but yeah, man, it's tough. And sometimes like you just you hope for the next game, right? And that way you can just like, all right, if we can get a draw out of this, like, you know, get something, work on a clean sheet. You know, I always felt like we always did a bunch of extra defensive shape play and things like that, because, you know, clearly it's an Achilles heel for them. Don't concede, you've got a chance. The second goal you're talking about, they actually conceded off a free kick, swung into the back post, headed it across, and it was a bit of a scrap in back to where it came from. And so they kind of conceded on all set pieces. You know, maybe you can take that as a little bit, Cody, of a silver lining, saying we didn't give up from open play. But again, you can't be giving up penalties, can't be giving up those situations to miss a mark and things like that. St. Louis City are good. They've got a tough little hole to dig themselves out of.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, you know, as London said, you can walk away from this game and say, well, if we didn't concede from open play, we conceded from set pieces. You know, as in basketball, free throws win you championships. I think, you know, you could argue in soccer, set pieces are a huge part of the game, and being clinical on those moments or in those moments will help you win games or lose games. So for them, I think maybe that's something that they take away from this game and they say, okay, well, we need to clean that up.
Yeah. So you guys got me thinking here a little bit. Houston obviously shipped 9 goals. They're only at a -6 goal difference. So it's kind of looking to see who's kind of conceded the most. It's Charlotte with 30 goals conceded, but they've scored 22. It's got to be stressful being a fan of Charlotte right now. You don't know what you're going to get. But
No
if
shutouts.
Exactly, none, but always scoring. Anyways, last thing I was going to say was the biggest negative goal difference right now, or like the biggest swing. I think it's LA Galaxy is at -13. They're just not scoring at all and conceding. And I think, plus 18 goal difference on the other side. Like you said, Cody, is St. Louis.
Oh, yeah. Plus 18.
That's nice.
Yeah, right.
They're doing the business. 32-4-14 against. Galaxy on the wrong side of that. 13-4-26 against. So anyways, we're going to wrap there. London, fantastic having you on. Really appreciate you bringing now not only the professional angle, but the coaching angle as you learn this new perspective from the sidelines.
Yeah, much different. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for coming on. Obviously, always good to reconnect and, you know, talk shop. So it was good.
Awesome. Well, links to London in the description below. If you would, go give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Helps other MLS fans such as yourself find us. But we'll be back with some clips midweek. Hope you like it. Otherwise, we'll be back at the end of next week for the next week of MLS recap. So have a great week. We'll catch you back then.